completely different.
We got some breaking news from the NFL. I could not believe this. I saw that Derek Carr retired from the NFL. And I immediately thought of my friend Sal, who is, a fan of the very Saints. And we're going to get Sal on the phone line in 1 second. Hey, Sal?
What's up, Ryan?
That worked perfectly. So, Sal, I was at Cava House and I was getting a drink, and I'm always a guy, whenever something big happens, I always remember where I was. And I was leaning against the counter, drinking a little Cava, and I look at my phone and I saw that Derek Carr retired, and I know you, one of my closest friends, I know you're a Saints fan, and I texted you, and I found out because you are the official New Orleans Saints expert on Hoppe Hour with Ryan Hoppe, I was like, I'm probably the first person to text Sal. And then you told me, everyone texted you. So, Sal, how are you feeling about Derek Carr?
Hopeful. Derek Carr, he did what he could for the Saints.
Yeah.
I don't believe it was a 100% Derek Carr issue.
Yeah.
The Saints had a program issue with Dennis Allen as head coach, and then with Derek Carr's injury, which we knew was pretty much season ending for him, and then going into surgery on the off season, and knowing that he was going to be out for a good portion of this season. I think it's the right move for Derek Carr. I think he made the right decision. I have my opinions on whether or not the Saints kind of forced it. The Saints, we brought in a new head coach. We have, I think, don't quote me on this, if I remember correctly, I think it's like 4 or 5 new coaches coming into the Saints. And then, our new head coach is a Super Bowl winner of a recent, coming from the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'm hopeful to see what happens in coming into the new season. I'm curious to know who's going to be starting. Will it be Radler? Will it be our new drafted quarterback Shaw? Taysom Hill's name always gets thrown out there as to, we should start Taysom Hill. I will go on record and say I do not believe Taysom Hill should ever be a starting quarterback for the Saints. He's too valuable in his position. He is the human Swiss Army knife, I think, of not just the New Orleans Saints, but also just of the NFL. He's too valuable to put as a starting quarterback. So I'm hopeful for the season. I'm curious to see. I think it's going to go one way or the other. I think I'm either going to be extremely pleased with the outcome of this upcoming season, or I'm going to be disappointed and hope for the following season. Dude,
I'm looking at the headline. I thought he was like our age, because you're 30, I'm 31. He's 34. I know that's not old, but NFL, I can kind of see why he retired.
Yeah, I mean, if everybody goes in and reads kind of the article from the New Orleans Saints, their press release today, they could have done the surgery, but they weren't confident that he'd come back in with the same strength, skill, and ability that he had.
I think
so. Like I said, I think it's going to be. I think Derek Carr made a smart move.
Yeah.
On retiring, I think it was 11 seasons he played in the NFL.
How does the money work? Do they keep paying him?
That I'm honestly not sure, because it's a retirement. I'm not sure. He's in the middle of a contract. My assumption is they'll pay him something.
That's what I thought.
Obviously, a buyout. I think like a buyout of his contract. I'm not 100% sure. But like I said, he played for the Saints for, I think, 5 years now.
Crazy.
I think it is crazy. It's just another big move right before, it's May, preseason starting just in a few months. So the Saints have some work to do.
I think it's going
to be interesting.
I think my favorite Derek Carr memory, they barely missed the playoffs, or did they make the playoffs in 2021? Remember when the Raiders had an interim coach who I think they should have gone with his coach, and he was actually my old boss, Mike Olivero. He was like one of his closest friends from high school, so there was a connection. But I think Derek Carr kind of peaked at that season with the Raiders, where I think they won like maybe 3 games above 500, and then I think they made the first round of the playoffs, and then I think that's when they brought him to the Saints, because I think the Saints were thinking they were going to get the same Derek Carr. I feel like my opinion is I think he had one of the best arms, but I think I don't know if he wasn't like a winner per se, but I think he just also wasn't on the best teams.
Yeah, I mean, listen, when Derek Carr came in behind one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game, Drew Brees, okay? We had Jameis Winston, who was learning under Drew Brees, who did not do well with the New Orleans Saints.
Not at all.
He just didn't. So we bring in Derek Carr. I believe people were looking at I think some people were thinking that he was going to be the savior for the Saints.
I think so.
Any real Saints fan and anybody who pays attention to the NFL, if they thought that, they were ignorant. Derek Carr had peaked already. He wasn't going to get any better, right? We were hoping, obviously, he didn't get worse, but he wasn't going to get any better as a quarterback or as a game manager, okay? So the Derek Carr we've seen that's just who he was. So that's why I'm saying also I think this is a smart move. He made a selfless decision to bow out and not hurt the Saints. It does affect now the salary cap for the New Orleans Saints. So, and I just also believe that it just makes Sanders not being drafted that much more interesting.
The other thing, too, I thought about, there's like a conference that all the NFL players go to if they want to go into the media and they get training. That's why they're all very similar on TV, the way they have their hands on a desk and whatnot. I could see Derek Carr being like a consultant or a correspondent for Good Morning Football.
We have not seen the last of Derek Carr.
Not at all.
That much I will say. We have not seen the last of Derek Carr. I don't think he'll be a sports commentator.
You know, so?
On any big network. I don't believe so.
What do you think he'll do?
I think I'm not sure, but I don't know what he's going to do. But I'm interested to see what happens. If they go through with the surgery, I wish him well. I think everybody in the New Orleans Saints community wishes him well. We thank him. We appreciate what he did for the organization. We want to see him happy and healthy. He's married with kids, and he's finally going to have more time to spend with his family. But we now, as an organization and as a fan base, and New Orleans as a city, we now look forward. We look at what's next. What can we do now to bring home that Lombardi next season?
What got you into the Saints, bud? I'm just curious.
Oh, yeah. So I didn't really grow up in a big sports household. The only sport that I ever grew up watching with my family was boxing. I've always been a boxing fan.
Yeah, you are.
But I have family in Louisiana that I used to go visit all the time. And every time I visited them, the only football team that I really ever grew up with, other than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, was the New Orleans Saints. And my favorite color is black. I wear a lot of gold, black and gold. So I've been a Saints fan for really just as long as I can remember. And I used to live in Louisiana as well. I lived in Baton Rouge for a short period of time. Not only am I a New Orleans Saints fan, but I am a LSU fan as well. But yeah, that's how it started.
Last thing, how awesome was 2010 when they won a Super Bowl?
Man, that was a good year for us. It was one of those things where it was a city that deserved it. After the devastation of Katrina, just 5 years prior.
Yeah.
Drew Brees. I mean, I can sit here and talk to you about Drew Brees all day long. In my opinion, with no disrespect to Tom Brady, Drew Brees is one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play football.
For sure.
He not only was he a good QB, he was a great game manager. His team respected him. The city loved him. He's just one of those guys. But when the Saints won the Super Bowl, it was, I think everybody in the NFL and around just the country, maybe even the world, knew the Saints deserved it that year. Unfortunately, as the years progressed, there were 4 years back to back where the Saints were completely robbed.
Yeah.
Of playoff contention, Super Bowl contention, just really bad calls on the referees.
Oh, 2019?
2019, man, that season broke us. I mean, the refs really screwed us out of that one. We deserved that one. That should have been our Super Bowl.
I was mad for you, and I'm not even really a Saints fan, and that sucked. That was terrible.
Yeah, it was awful. But, like I said, one thing about us Saints fans and about the New Orleans community is we always look forward. And let's bring on the season. Let's go get that Lombardi.
Well, Sal, It's been a lot of fun having you on. I had to have you on because whenever I have you on, you usually help me take a break from being a shock jock because you're a little more professional. So it's been a lot of fun having you on. And yeah, it was funny. When I saw the Derek Carr thing, the first thing I thought of was Sal. The first thing I thought of.
Well, I appreciate you thinking of me, Hoppe. I appreciate it.
All right, bro. Have a good day, and I'm sure I will see you in about 45 minutes.
I'm sure I'll see you soon. Have a great one.
You too. Bye. And that was Sal, my guy, as he called in the Hoppe Hour. I had to have him on. Dude's a Saints fan. You hear how well-spoken he is? I mean, makes me look like chopped liver.
Hoppe Hour. Hoppe Hour.
It's time for Hoppe in the morning.
RyanHoppeRadio.com.
Hoppe Hour will be right back.